What's up, guys? I'm Joe. Today I'm talking about the new album from 9 Inch Nails, Bad Witch. So 9 Inch Nails are back. This is their 9th studio album, Bad Witch, featuring, of course, at the helm Trent Reznor, who, for the past couple of releases had brought on Atticus Ross, who he usually does all of his film scores with, to be an official member of 9 Inch Nails. And Bad Witch is, it's a new studio album. It's being marketed as an album, and it was originally going to be the third of a trilogy of EPs that the band had announced. Those featured not the actual events and Add Violence, and there's going to be a third EP that, ended up just getting delayed, and now what we have here is a completely new album. A couple interesting things as far as the marketing of it goes. It's pretty short. It's 6 songs, 30 minutes. Which for 6 songs, 30 minutes is a decent length. But nonetheless, this is the shortest release that 9 Inch Nails has had as far as an album is concerned. They've had a bunch of EPs. But I think what's going on here is twofold. Reznor, kind of wanting to stay away from sort of predictability, felt that maybe a third EP of the planned trilogy wasn't the way to go. The band was kind of sort of waiting for inspiration to hit, and what came out of that ended up being something that was worthy of being an album in his mind, which, I definitely would agree there. But there's also the side of it, the marketing side of it, where, if you label something as an EP, it's going to go one place in streaming. If you label it as an album, it's going to get that much more press, that much more attention, and, it's going to come up first in Spotify's and Apple's and stuff like that, which I feel like there's nothing wrong with that. You kind of got to play the game. You got to do what you can to get, music out to the people, get the streams, that kind of stuff. So I'm fully on board with that kind of thing. And what you have here is a collection of songs that, feel concise. It feels like it should work as its own record. At the same time, it feels messy and aggressive and kind of anxious and suspenseful. It's definitely a pretty cool sound. It's definitely not as tame as some of the past releases of the band, namely something like Hesitation Marks, which is an album that I did enjoy, and it was one that, it took a long time for that album to come out, so it was exciting. And while I liked it, it felt a little tame for the band, and there had been releases prior to that as well that felt that way. And Bad Witch and the EPs that preceded it started going back to that original, more aggressive, more chaotic, and a little unpredictable sound of the band. And right off the bat, I was kind of floored by the sound of the album, which Shit Mirror. It has this very frantic sound to it as far as this lo-fi beat. It gets very noisy, it gets very explosive. I like how the chorus kind of feels like it's getting very melodic, and at the same time it's just noisy and messy. That creates such a really cool dynamic. Trent Reznor's vocals are as haunting as ever on this one. And yeah, those little blasts of aggression that harken back to the older days of the band for sure. Even more so, this occurs on Ahead of Ourselves, the next track, which kind of feels like you're running from something. I feel very anxious when I listen to this song. And I love just the burst of noise and aggressive vocals that come throughout the song. It's kind of plotting its way on a certain, sound. It has that driving drum beat behind it and that bass that really, pulls things along and adds that frantic kind of feel. And then, boom, these explosive moments will happen. So I really do like that a lot. And then with the next couple tracks, things really seem to go into a totally different direction. Play the Goddamn Part and God Break Down the Door. The first one being an instrumental track. Both of them, very much displaying a David Bowie influence, those last couple records, especially Black Star, with these jazzy additions to the songs, these kind of sporadic and driving, swirling drum beats, wandering bass lines underneath of these, kind of creepy vocals as far as Bowie was doing on Black Star, and you definitely see Trent doing that kind of stuff on here, and I think it's really great. Play the Goddamn Part, again, adds that very frantic, anxious feeling. I like the saxophone that's added on this stuff. And again, that kind of, weird wandering bass underneath. And God Break Down the Door, probably the most comparable to Black Star era Bowie, or even The Next Day, which was the album that came before. Trent on these songs kind of plays around with the vocals a little bit, changes it up, tries something different, and the instrumentals are fluid. They're kind of jazzy in that sense, where they're kind of swirling around. You don't really know where they're gonna go. So I found that to be pretty cool. I'm Not From This World, another instrumental, and mostly just an ambient piece, kind of along the lines of some of Trent and Atticus Ross's, film score material. For me, I have to be in the right kind of setting to listen to, that kind of stuff. Sometimes I like it if I'm trying to relax or I'm trying to study. But I did listen to this album a couple times with just big headphones on, and it's pretty cool to kind of get lost in that kind of weird environment that the song creates. And Over and Out kind of continues with this ambient sound, though you throw some vocals in there. It feels very spacious. It feels kind of dreamlike in a way, and has this like nice kind of groove underneath it that drives it along before going out on this very noisy outro, which I think is pretty cool. So overall, I'm really enjoying Bad Witch. In its half-hour runtime, the album really has a lot to offer as far as the sound goes. Quite a lot of difference going on here. I can compare Shit Mirror to the closing track, and it sounds like totally different eras of Nine Inch Nails colliding into one album here. You have the more aggressive nature of some of the older records. You have the more, ambient and soundscape type sounds of, say, something like the Ghosts records. Really cool stuff overall. I like the direction it's going in here. It's unexpected, it's different, and overall pretty enjoyable album for me. So I'm feeling 4 out of 5 for this one. Let me know what you think of the album in the comments, whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong. As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.